Hey, what's up, guys? I hope everyone's been well during this, difficult period. I've been working on a lot of new stuff, and I've actually got something coming out at the end of this month, so stay tuned for that. And without further ado, let's get right into this. This is my song "Tragic" from my album Crystal Cold, and yeah, I'll play for you a little preview first.
Mine, you're mine. Will you say you're mine, you're mine? Will you say you're mine, you're mine? Will you say you're mine, you're mine? Will you say you're mine?
Alright, so let's get right into this. Here is what the verse sounds like.
Tell me how you really feel, 'cause I'm losing my mind. Are you really standing here? Will you say you're mine? Tell me how you really feel, 'cause I'm losing my mind. Are you really standing here? Will you say you're mine?
Alright, let's take a look at what's going on in here. So first we have our vocals. This is just it's a acapella that I got from this guy called Ragged. I'll leave a link to his channel in the description. I'm not sure which pack it's from, but yeah, he puts out a lot of cool stuff. So here's what it just sounds like on its own.
Tell me how you really feel, 'cause I'm losing my mind.
I'm not really adding any processing to this. The reverb and all that actually came with this. It did come with a dry version, but the wet sounded fine to me, so I just used that. All I'm really doing is cutting out a bit of the lows around, everything below 300-ish. And I've got a de-esser running, not de-essing a whole lot, just a little bit. Yeah, that's about it for the vocals actually. So okay, so we move on to the chords. There's just this piano playing. It's from it's under Addictive Keys. There's this preset in here called Intense Keys, and I just kind of drove it to be a little more intense, essentially, with these knobs over here. So what sounds like by itself? And with these knobs, I can sort of adjust the how hard it's hitting, how harsh it sounds. Yeah, so that's about it for that sound. All I'm really doing here with the EQ, cutting out more loads once again, cutting out some annoying frequencies, bit of mids, bit of highs. I've got a little bit of OTT on here. It's not a whole lot, 13%, but I'm kind of boosting up the mids a little bit. Not a whole lot of difference, but it just gives an extra sort of push. And this reverse chord here, it's just this first chord bounced out, reversed. And yeah, that's literally it. Bass, this is bass playing in the second half of the verse. It just sounds like. So it's a pretty simple sound. I believe it's just it's just a tri-saw and a saw wave just playing. Bit of EQ, once again cutting out some of the subs because I didn't want this to be too subby right in the verse, and cutting out some highs, a lot of highs, everything above 730. And so drums, there's just this one Cashmere ride we've got going. And what I'm doing for processing, cutting out the lows once again, everything under 3K. I've got this transient designer, just sort of removing a little bit of that tail. So, okay, let's take a look at it, a comparison. That's with. That's without. Now, let me just A-B it real quick. Yeah, not once again, it's a little subtle, but yeah, it's more or less what I needed from this. And as okay, so for FX, right in the beginning, this is alarm sound from the Cashmere pack. Pretty simple sound. I just cut off bit of lows, bit of highs once again. You'll notice as I go through this project, I'm cutting out a lot of lows from a lot of things. Most tracks I will remove under 200 at least, if not I'll go up a bit more. And what this does is just sort of makes room for the bass, for the instrument slash drum slash anything that actually is playing something that relies on bass. It allows it to sort of stand out more. And yeah, so let's, yeah, for that bit. We've got this clap, reverse clap, reverb clap thing. Simple.
Feel, 'cause I'm losing my mind. Are you really standing here? Will you say you're mine?
And here we just have this clap, reverse clap, sub-ish sort of thing. And so, okay, that's about it for the first verse. Now we're into the what I call a pre-chorus. I don't know what it's actually called. If this should be the chorus, but okay, anyway. The vocals change a little bit.
Mine, you're mine. Will you say? Will you say?
But processing, I mean, I didn't really do any on my end, so it's, yeah, that's about it from there. Now there are these sort of pads, chords, things that are playing here. And what I'm doing here is just automating the high cut. And these are actually from Logic's inbuilt synth called Alchemy. Let's see. Yeah, under for anthemic lead, you can just go to synths. Yeah, you'll find it under synths at anthemic lead. This is just, I think this is the, I don't think I even changed this preset at all. And I actually use this in a lot of my songs. And there's another one, this called Big 7th Lead. And once again, also from Alchemy under synth. And yeah, so there's, while that's going, we've got this bass that comes in. Pretty simple sound. This actually is from, okay, so it's silent. It's actually from the factory, one of the factory banks. Let's see. Yeah, from the second bank. It's literally the first preset that comes up. Yeah, so what I did was just high cut once again, taking out lows, subs. And do I automate this? Yep, right at the end here, before it goes into the drop, automating the low cut frequency here. So it gets thinner right before the drop. I believe I do the same for, okay, it's not for the chords, but for the drums. So okay, so speaking of drums, so as you can hear at the end, this snare is getting its low cut, and you're automating the high cut frequency once again. This clap is just classic. Nothing much happening here. Sending to some reverb, cutting out lows once again. Snare, cutting out, oh yeah, I've got the high cut running. And so as for FX, not too much happening here. So something pretty interesting. So I was looking through the Cashmere pack, and this is he had this subfolder. Is it called Zip? Well, Zips, and by itself it just sounds like not entirely sure, but when I paired it up with the build-up drums, it gave a nice clean end to it right before the drop. And so that's about it for the build-up. So drop sounds like this. Alright, so what's happening here? We've got these same chords, but they've switched up melody. Well, switched up the melody. And instead of just playing static, long, sort of drawn out, they've now started to play the melody of the leads, the lead melody. And I also add in another chord synth, just to beef it up a little bit. So what it would actually sound like without this sort of melody is this whole drop would sound a lot less full, and it wouldn't have that sort of drive to it. So if I just mute these and turn this on, this is roughly what it would sound like. So as you can hear, it sort of sounds a little less to it, for lack of a better word. So, alright, so then we've got these leads playing. Let's take a listen to those. Okay, let me just actually take out the reverb so you can hear the leads a bit better. That's what they sound like on their own, without the chords, which I will get into later. But so, okay, this is what the leads, they're made out 3 layers. The first one is this saw and sine together, and just sounds like. So it's a very simple, very mono sound, but something that I sort of learned, or rather just kind of played around with, was this mod envelope here. And so it's affecting the pitch A and B. So what this does is actually gives it a sort of more punch to the beginning of it. So if I just remove it, this is what it would sound like. So, and if I add it back in, so you can hear at the start, at the beginning of the sound, there's like a big punch in your face, which is kind of what I wanted. And this is just a super saw from Silence Factory Library bank 1, I think, page 3. Yeah, there it goes, super saw. It's a sound I also use, I think, in almost every one of my songs. Just it's very simple, very classic sound that sort of just fills out what I need it to fill out. And then the third one is from this guy called Transverze, I think. One of his hardstyle pack. And yeah, it's just called Euphoria. I'll leave a link to the description, to his channel in the description, or to the pack. I'm not sure which, but yeah. So it's just just there. So all three together sounds like. But most of the, I'd say this is only about 50% of what you're hearing during the drop, because the other 50% is actually the chords, which fill out the sort of stereo spectrum a lot better than just these chords. So if I just turn this reverb back on, so let's listen to the leads and the chords together now. So once again, without the chords, it just sounds like. There's a lot of the reverb from the chords kind of bleeding in. Maybe I should do that. Yeah, so you get the idea. So next up, we've got this hardstyle kick. It's just one of the Cashmere packs. I'm not sure if it's from volume 2 or 3, but it's just it's just more or less use it right out of the box. Did some very minimal EQing here, a little bit of OTT just to beef up the mids a little more. Pretty simple. So as for the vocal samples that are happening, let's take a listen. So for all of these ad-libs, or samples, I don't know what to call them, heavily distorted, most of them. So as you can see from this one, this Let's Go, I've got a whole lot of distortion. I've got this Camel Crusher, overdrive, and yep, and some EQ, taking out lows, boosting a little bit of that high end. I've got this plugin from Polyverse, I guess, and yeah, Infected Mushroom, called Wider, and it's just a stereo imager that, you know, it's a one slider thing. It's nice and easy interface, easy to use. And alright, and so okay, so for this reverse, well, this reverse into this, how I got that sound was cut out this Let's, yeah, and then so I ended up with this. So I took it, reversed it, well, I bounced it out, reversed it, and so, okay, so actually what it would sound like is this. But what I did was I switched from fade in to speed up, so then it changed it a little bit. So it sounded a little cooler. And this next set, pretty simple. I just chopped up this beginning yeah bit, and I just placed it that way. Got a whole lot more distortion happening. Bit Crusher. I've got little Alter Boys distortion as well. Camel Crusher, because I'm sending it to this bus over here. Camel Crusher. Then we've got this Serum FX tube distortion, more overdrive, more Little Altar Boys drive, bit of stereo widening here, and just EQ to finish it off, just to cut off the lows, and just sending it to some reverbs as well. Yeah, I call this one Big Boy Verb. And yeah, the verb. And this last one, just take a listen. So what it sounds like without any of the processing is just a woo. Right, so I added a bunch of reverb, more distortion, whole lot of distortion. And all I'm doing here is just panning. So I'm hard panning left, then right, then back to the center. And so that's about it for the chorus, or the drop. And at the end, I'm doing a little bit of automation. Let's take a listen. So all I'm doing to get that effect is just taking these leads, automating the high cut, same with the kick, and I believe same with the chords as well. So as it progresses, it sort of just cuts away and gets ready for this a lot softer, slower sort of bit that comes in, that which I call verse 2. I don't know what you'd call it, but yeah.
You're mine, will you say 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 you're mine.
Alright, all that's happening for the vocals, it's more or less the same thing, just repeating what was, in the first verse. Next up, we have these chords. So actually, let me rename these real quick. Okay, so first one, the main thing you're hearing is this piano. And this is also from Addictive Keys. I kind of played around with the settings and got, I just found some settings I liked and stuck with it. EQ-wise, cutting out some lows, a little bit highs, a little bit of these annoying frequencies down here. Let's see if what happens if I boost. Yeah, as you can hear, not particularly pleasant. And we just have these pads, pan left and right, just to widen them a bit. They sound pretty similar, but just enough different that they don't phase or have any phase issues, I think. So all that's happening, both of these I am doing a high cut, aggressive high cut, aggressive low cut, because I just wanted these sort of soft sounding mids. And these are both from Serum. Open this up. Let's see, this is from one of the Cymatics packs called Darkest Piano. I believe I can't remember what I changed to this or if I changed anything. And this pad also from Serum, from a pack. Well, yeah, this website, serumpresets.com, pads, just the first one they had. And yeah, that's it for the chords. The only other things happening is this bass happening in the second half. It's actually the same as the first one that plays during the verse. And if you're on the phone, I'm not sure if you'll be able to hear this because it's quite low in the mix. But yeah, so all of it, this is just to sort of beef up the chords and give it a bit of rhythm. And along when this bass is introduced, we've actually got these drums as well. So, I mean, pretty basic rhythm here. I think I'm automating the high cut over here. So if we take a listen to this. So yeah, it just gets a little brighter as it gets towards the next section. This is FX that plays here.
Will you say you're
Actually, I took a hardstyle kick and reversed it, and just processed it a little bit, little high cut, little reverb. That's how I got that sound. And alright, so now we've come to this build up bit. I'll just play it for you real quick.
Hey, I've been thinking. What if you and me together forever?
Will you say you're mine?
Alright, so what's happening here? Well, the main focus, I'd say, is these vocals.
Hey, I've been thinking. What if you and me?
So how I got these vocals is pretty funny, actually. So I was looking for vocals online to use for this section, but I couldn't find any that I really wanted to use, or that kind of fit in with this. So what I did was I decided to record my own vocals on this Max microphone. So what the original one sounded like was,
Hey, I was just thinking. What if you and me together forever?
so yeah, it's a pretty lame sounding. There's no punch to it. There's no feeling. There's no oomph to it. So I just did a bunch of processing. So Logic has this. Let's create a new audio track here. Let's just voice preset called, let's see, it's under voice experimental, called Monster Vocal. And so there's a bunch of plugins on it already. And so let's actually drag this down real quick. So you hear what it sounds like with the default setting. So it's pretty unclear, mostly due to this vocal transformer here. So what I did with this one was let's drag this up real quick. So this is the one I used for these are the actual vocals. So what I did to clean up the default one. So first let's take a look here. So side by side, these are the differences. More or less, I kept the EQ, just cutting out the lows. I think I had some compression, fair amount more. Yeah, I was compressing it a little harder. And let's see. Okay, so for the vocal transformer, I changed it up a fair amount. So this is the original. Oh, okay, sorry. This is the one I ended up using. And this one is how the original would sound. As you can see, the formant is a lot lower here, which sort of reduced the intelligibility of the words. So I moved that up to -4. So after that, I've got this amplifier running. Yeah, honestly, not entirely sure what's happening here, but it just came with the preset, and it gave it that sort of grittiness to it that I wanted. So with the amplifier,
I've been thinking.
and if I take this out,
I've been thinking.
the amp sort of just gives it makes it a little brighter, a little harsher, a little easier to understand. And after that, let's see, I've got a bunch more. I think I've got another compressor running, compressing it a bunch more. Got a de-esser running just to get rid of the S's. EQ, a bit of mids, getting rid of some lows. So yeah, that's about it. And at the end here, I recorded a couple takes. I panned them left and right. And I've made it a little lower, but just wanted to widen up this last word.
Forever.
Alright, so other than that, let's close that. Chords are just playing the same thing as they do during the drop. So it's just... And the leads are playing... So the only difference here compared to the drop is that it's not... There are gaps left in between some of the melodies to leave space for this vocal up here. And that's about it. And underneath these chords and leads is this bass going on. So this first layer, is it's the same as the previous ones that were played during the verse. But I sort of cut off a bit more and I changed a couple things so it sounds a little different. And this is just a preset from the factory library. Basic bass. Oh, what did I do? Okay, where did you go? Right, here. 4/6 basic bass. And I just did cut off some highs, a little bit of like the very, very low end. And that's about it. So you can actually barely even hear it. And yeah, once again, if you're on the phone, I don't think you'd be able to hear this. But, so I advise you to get headphones. Or well, use headphones if you're watching this. And yeah, so it just sits under these and sort of follows the same melody, same rhythm, without the bass. So it just feels like it's sort of missing. It's just adding to the overall frequency spectrum, question mark. So there's that. Let's see what else. Right, we've got these. It's the same clap and snare from before for the build-up. So same thing, just automating the high cut. I think at the end I automate the low cut to go up a little bit. Same, white noise sweep up here. This one is from this producer called Big Z, and he has this really love his music, and he has this sample pack. I'll link to that also in the description. Yeah. And so, once again, I'm just changing the pitch of these. It's the same kick, I believe, as this original one. But, yeah, I just switched up the pitch to fit the chords. Let's get these in. So as you can hear, a little bit of automation happening here. low cut right at the end. Let's see, we've got some. Honestly, I don't even remember what I did here. Okay. Well, okay. It's automating the high cut just in big blocks. So here we have 3K, 3500. What is this? 3800, 4200, and so and so. And yeah, I'm just reducing the volume right here at the end. Just to get ready for this drop that's coming up again. Which I'll play. Yeah. So more or less same thing as the first drop. The only real difference is this shout right here, this vocal shout. And all that's happening here is just this sample layered with this one. And once again, heavily distorted. Camel Crusher, we've got, I think this Tube Distortion from Serum FX, there we go. Some wider going on, some reverb. And I think that is about it. Okay, well, so for this kick over here, let's just, I did a little bit of, not sure what to call it. So all that's happening here is I took out, where is it? Took out this, where are we at? Took out this kick and bounced it out, and I just pitched it up an octave using the Logic's one. Same thing over here. Both I just pitched up an octave. Let's just see. Yeah, I mean that's more or less about it. If you enjoyed this or if you learned anything, let me know in the comments. Also, if you have any questions, you can let me know and I'll try to get back to you as fast as possible. I'll try to include the links for most of the stuff I used in here, as well as this actual project file in the description for a download. I can't guarantee it will work, however, if you don't have all the plugins I have. If you don't have the same ones. So, yeah, but it's mostly just so you can take a closer look at what I've done, or what I tried to do, if you're interested. And yeah, so that's about it. Yeah, thanks.